I like when we come on the air and Jack's already laughing. That makes me feel like it's going to be a good day.
If I ever lose my sense of humor, it'll probably be because I'm being cremated or something. But
it's a great defense mechanism. Welcome to Teleforum. Jack Manning is my guest. We're going to talk with the commissioner today. This is being live streamed. If you've got a question for Jack, you can call. If you've got a question for Jack, you can post it in the comment section of the live stream at the Beaver County Radio website. When did you learn that you had to have a sense of humor to survive in this world? We'll get the money and all that business, but was it an epiphany or was it a little bit over time?
No, well, I mean, you know, I had an older sister, a younger sister.
So you learned to take a pummeling.
You know, at a very early age, to get attention sometimes. And break free from the domination of the females in my family. I used to clown around a lot.
You were the funny one.
And sometimes just be annoying, quite frankly.
But no, that's perception. You being annoying, I bet you, was funny as all get out to you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So has that sense of humor served you in the world of politics?
Well, it has. I mean, you know, everybody has a story. Everybody overcomes issues the best way they can and deals with stress the best they can.
Defense mechanisms.
But I've always felt that my sense of humor, my ability to laugh at myself, particularly, and be self-deprecating.
Well, that's vital because that demonstrates
a lot is what keeps me grounded and real. And you know, as soon as you think you're full of yourself, that's when you start to lose it.
And that makes it so much easier when you laugh at others. If everyone knows, okay, he laughs at himself too. Yeah. So, have you ever thought something was funny and expressed it, and no one else in the room thought what you thought?
Oh yeah, just Tuesday night when I was talking to the Ambridge Regional Chamber, and I made a joke about my work in the downtown areas
in Ambridge,
in Ambridge and Beaver Falls and Aliquippa and Monaca and all those. And I said, I'm very proud to see what's happening in Ambridge and the turning point there. And I said, you know, I was part of the foundation of laying the groundwork, the manure, if you will. I consider myself that allowed the roots to take hold and
that's funny. It's a little gross. Did you open with that?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Nobody else appreciated me calling myself manure. So I could have used some other things, but that's how I see myself. I am a fertilizer that helps fertilize things.
Oh my God, I'd vote for
you.
I'd vote for you
and
for
move
czar.
Forward. So yeah.
Let me fertilize your future. Vote Jack Manning.
Thank you, and all the BS that comes with it. Yeah. So
is that the water off a duck's back mentality that you have to have sometimes? There's a famous Kurt Vonnegut character. His response to everything at the end was, I had to laugh like hell. Yeah. How vital is that when you're dealing with the public as someone, as a commissioner or anyone in the public eye? Well,
you know, there's still a fine line that you have to walk, right? I mean, there's so much tragedy and trauma in the world and what's happening now in Ukraine, in the U.S., and the divisiveness and stuff. And I think you just need something that keeps you grounded, keeps you in perspective. I'm a very pragmatic person, and I try and face reality as it is, but I also know that there are some things that are outside my realm to influence. So I try and stay grounded with what I can control, what I can impact, how I can make people feel good about themselves, and where there's hope and where there's progress. And the like, and a lot of that just involves being able to laugh and enjoy what we do have in life. Absolutely.
All right, you talk about progress. I saw a story a few days ago. All of the money that, I say we, that is available because of the government funding and the COVID, it's a giant. How much money is sitting there right now that we will eventually have access to?
Well, we haven't gotten the second half of our 92 and some change $1 million yet. The 46 is there. It's in the account. Sometime this month, we anticipate we'll be getting that second allotment. But it's sitting there because we're not necessarily cutting checks to people.
Right.
We're using that for the programs and the projects that have been submitted. It's sitting there, and then the municipalities, the infrastructure builder, we're doing the broadband stuff, are drawing down from that as they submit invoices. That's our ability to make sure we're in compliance with the U.S. Treasury's requirements for the American Rescue Plan Act.
All right. Well,
right? So people have been approved for a certain amount,
right,
based on those projects.
And on paper, you're removing that amount from the current
Yes.
storehouse, but
Yes.
it hasn't.
Yes.
The checks haven't been cut yet.
Well, the checks will go to the invoices that are submitted for those particular projects, right? So we're not just cutting checks.
You're not sitting there with your big banker's book
for $1 million or something to a water authority or to a municipality. We're saying this project's approved that you submitted. Here's the engineering design, the cost. As that project is implemented, you will draw down from this account that we have set aside for that project, for this municipality or this authority or whatever it is.
One of the things I know you've talked about is guidance and oversight. Explain to me what the story was about, what's going to happen. The controller is now involved, and there's going to be a process of paying better attention. Long ago, I saw the story a couple days ago. What does that change?
Oh, it doesn't change anything.
What is happening?
The controller's job is
right.
to oversee and audit and make sure that the expenditures and
are correct.
What we're financing
right.
is correct. And then she does a report every year that talks about the puts and takes of the budget, where the expenses go, where the payments go. So her job is to do that, to oversight and audit of the expenditures, any expenditure that we do, whether it's a state grant, whether it's going to behavioral health, whether it's going to emergency services, and certainly with this U.S. Treasury event. And the thing is, when our auditors come in and check our books from the outside or from the state.
Do auditors ever have a sense of humor?
Occasionally.
Not to interrupt, but when they come in, laughing or not.
Yeah. Our accountant, Bryant, has a pretty good sense of humor.
Okay.
Yeah, he's pretty well. But,
now, is it a good sense of humor, or is it a good sense of humor for an accountant?
Yeah.
Be honest.
Yeah.
And then, compare yourself to poo afterwards, to self-deprecate.
Yeah, well, I can't do what they do. I'm not going to sit there and look at spreadsheets.
Oh, dear Lord, no.
And numbers. I can't do it what Controller Longo does. She does it remarkable. She's the best person for that job because she's all about the systems, the math.
There are people that love it.
Stuff. Well, absolutely.
Well, my question is, so she was going to be involved in this process anyway. It just came out that that's the... I heard from a couple of people said, "Oh, that's just going to add to the time it's going to take."
No.
And auditors coming in.
No, because
she's
after the fact. That's not going to delay our process and system. Once we approve an expenditure, and she knows and she's aware of it, she's simply going to track as the drawdown of those dollars occur. She's going to say the amount that's drawn down. And we agreed up front to make sure that we had transparency on the website on who's getting the money, where it's going to, and she'll help contribute to keeping that current and up to date on the percentage that's been spent and where it's going.
Are the feds getting any better at explaining the rules?
Well, no.
Not to oversimplify it.
We got the money last May, and the final came out, I think, in January, they said, on the guidelines. But even since then, they'll still tweak. They'll still find things that they were more generic about that they want to narrow down, or things that they narrowed down too closely that they're allowing to be a little more generically spent as they get feedback from all the counties across the country that are receiving.
This happened here,
money.
this didn't. Well, what position does that put you in as a commissioner? Could that maybe you do something and then further rules come back and you're in trouble for breaking a rule that when you broke it didn't exist? Yeah,
we have to make sure that we're very clear, and that's why we have outside consultants and experts as well. Corey Troutman from Susquehanna, who's our CFO, and then Brian from Z&A accounting firm. They're both well versed in all the comings and goings of interpretations understanding what other counties are doing, understanding
Right.
what's permitted and stuff. So we had to take a very cautious approach up front to make sure we didn't allot money to an organization or an activity that it turns out isn't qualified.
Yeah.
Because what happens is they tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you have to pay that back. Well, from a county, if we just gave somebody $1.2 million for something,
Right.
and we paid that out, we not only lost that $1.2 million because you can't get it back,
Right.
but we owe the government 1.2. So you pay twice for your mistakes. So we have to be very, very cautious up front in making sure that we know what the standards are, what the interpretation are. And for the most part, I think we've done that. Things like broadband were very simple. I mean, there was carte blanche. The government thought that broadband was important, and they're allowing us to invest significantly in broadband.
But what happens if they come back and say, okay, we've studied broadband and we've heard from a lot of counties and here are more rules?
That won't happen.
That one's okay?
That's been well established, and we're far down the road.
The government loves its internet.
Absolutely. Well, certainly wants us to have access to it. And we're working very good on that. We're close to the two pilot programs that we're doing. They've narrowed down the numbers of people. We still have a little less than 2,000 people that have no access to broadband in Beaver County. So we've got a couple of pilot projects. We're working with some internet service providers for those, and they're going to start laying some cable that will give access to a couple of hundred more people. So piece by piece, we're getting there. We're working on our cell towers, our 911 towers, fiber optics on that. Communications and fiber optics and broadband access is still one of the more important infrastructure type things we can do to help residents, help businesses, and help grow Beaver County.
How has it been dealing with the providers? Because it could go one of two ways. If you're an internet provider, this is necessary and you want to be helpful and you want to be a part of the solution. The other way is you want internet, we've got you over a barrel. How were they to deal with?
Actually, we've got a great working relationship. I believe there are 11 internet providers that service some part of Beaver County with internet activity. When we recognize the areas where we have the highest concentration of people with no access, we approached the people that were close by in that to see if they would do that. And of course, what the funds allow us to do is to subsidize the laying of that cable.
And that's always been the argument, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're an internet provider and there's a new housing development going up somewhere and you want to be in there and all of a sudden you have 600 people that you can automatically get hookup if you're Comcast or
a relatively
Armstrong or whoever it is.
Right.
That makes economic sense. You lay the cable and you've got all these people that are going to take your service.
Yeah.
You lay 8 miles of cable where there may be 40 homes along that stretch.
Right.
I understand the business model that says that's not in our best interest.
We're going to lose
money. To lay
money.
8 miles of cable for the potential of a few dozen people. So and that's why we have the money, and that's why we're trying to do that. We're subsidizing that. There's a joint cost. They're paying the expense laying the cable, but we're kind of subsidizing that to make it the business model make more sense. But they've all understood the urgency and the need for this, and I think I don't think we're going to have any issue with any of the providers coming up and helping us expand into those areas.
How many locations are we talking about that are rural? It would seem like most of them.
Yeah, I mean, there's pockets, and you can the more rural. I mean, 40% of Beaver County is all rural farmland, woodlands, and the like. And quite frankly, some of the people moved to that area because they wanted to get away from everybody. They're not on it. They don't really care if they have internet service or not. Yeah,
correct.
Exactly. It's a challenge. But if we want, again, I go through this. If the pandemic showed us nothing else, if you're trying to work from home, if you're trying to educate your kids from home, if you're trying to shop from home, if you're trying to entertain your family from home, if you're trying to do telemedicine, which is becoming bigger and bigger and
Absolutely,
more important.
it is. Yeah.
Given the access or the difficulty in access to medical. I mean, those are 5 critical items for a family to be able to function in today's world. We think it's important. We think it's worth expending that. And again, at one point, it was well over 2,000 parcels, households, businesses that didn't have it. We've narrowed that down and now confirmed it's about 1950, 1,950,
it's dropped
something like
under
that.
2 grand.
Yeah, it's under 2,000. But that's still a significant number, especially if it's your kids or it's your job that you're trying to function in.
Or your doctor's appointment.
Absolutely.
Or your presentation.
Absolutely.
A dear friend of mine, as we speak, is doing a Zoom presentation to over 1,000 people.
Yep.
And if internet wasn't there, that presentation would not be happening.
Yeah.
And think of all the money that saves. You don't have to bring 500 people in to see or 1,000 people in to see a presentation anymore if you don't want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I embrace that change. I don't have a problem with it. I know some people say they hate Zoom and they hate all this stuff, but as someone that has to travel around a lot,
as somebody that spent their life traveling, really.
You know, there's a monthly meeting we have with the Southwest Planning Commission. It's in Pittsburgh, all the 10 counties, PennDOT, all these folks. And while it's nice every once in a while to see those folks in person, to leave Beaver County, to drive to downtown Pittsburgh for an hour meeting, and then come back.
That's 3.5 or 4 hours.
I just as soon sit in my office and be online and listen to everything that's going on. I get the agenda ahead of time. You go through the agenda, and you hear that. I don't need to grab a sandwich with folks and say, "Hey, I'm here." I don't need that.
All right.
I can still do my job, still represent Beaver County, still represent our residents, sitting in my office on a Zoom call just as well. There are other times, though, where you really need that interaction because those relationships, those ability to solve some problems and get some initiatives require an in-person presence. And I'm more than willing to do that. I'm more than willing to drive to Harrisburg or Washington, D.C. if I have to, or to downtown Pittsburgh. But for the most part, those meetings are kind of rote and you know.
And by doing
specific.
it that way, it doesn't cost you $30 to park.
It's less that than just the time and the
stress. No, the drive.
I am not a happy camper when I am in traffic.
Oh, I bet you're
inching my way through the tunnel.
All right, we need to road trip.
Yeah.
Jack Manning is my guest. It's Ask the Commissioners. This is being live streamed. If you've got a question, you can post it on the live stream on the Beaver County Radio Facebook page. News is next on Teleforum.
Did you ever think you would see a day when nobody showed up for the big city holiday parades or pro sports events? This is Michelle from Laughlin Insurance Agency in Rochester. If nothing else, this past year has taught us that things we never considered possible can happen and that nobody can predict the future. At the Laughlin Agency, your Penn National insurance provider, we give you the ability to protect against loss during unexpected times. Who knows what the future holds? Visit LaughlinInsAgency.com.
Who's this week's pick of the litter? Listen to Beaver County Radio every Monday and Friday from 9 a.m. to 12 noon for the Beaver County Humane Society's Pick of the Litter. We'll be highlighting 2 lucky resident animals from the shelter who need a loving home. Plus, we'll be featuring pictures and information about the animals on our website each week. It's WBVP WMBA 99.3 FM and 95.7 FM's Pick of the Litter each Monday and Friday in the 11 o'clock hour of Teleforum. Pick of the Litter on Beaver County Radio is brought to you by the Beaver Falls Beauty Academy, Nally Elias and Associates, Tom Sipes Demolition, Albert's Heating and Air Conditioning in Conway, and Beaver County Radio. 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, 1230 WBVP, and 1460 WMBA.
Beaver County Radio's news source, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com. Here's Frank Sparks.
And good morning. As today's forecast is, call for a beautiful day with sunny skies today. High's going to be up to 71 degrees to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. We'll have a complete Beaver County Radio weather forecast coming up for you right after we have this look at news. Aliquippa City Building is now open for business. That and more from last night's City Council meeting. From Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano.
Representatives from Waste Management were on hand at Wednesday night's meeting to answer trash pickup questions the council and residents had. This was the city's first in-house meeting since the pandemic. City Council approved a financial assistance resolution that would aid in the tearing down of blighted structures, and usable wood and other materials would be used by those needing jobs and having the necessary tools to tear down the structures. The program would start in West Aliquippa, according to Mayor Dwan B. Walker. He said it is a pilot program. Midland and Beaver Falls were also approved, and it would start in August 2022. Samuel Holden was hired as a part-time police officer based on the recommendation of Police Chief John Lane. Council promoted Earl Dorsey to full-time on the road department based on Superintendent Alex Scott's recommendation. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
Could there be a Sheetz convenience store coming to Center Township? Beaver County Radio News correspondent Sandy Giordano also has that story.
Center Township supervisors held their work session last week and reported that a traffic study was done for a Sheetz that would be located just off I-376. Senior staff engineer for the firm, Joshua Hader from David E. Wooster and Associates, are working with developers on the proposed project. Center Township Planning Commission hasn't met with the developer on the proposed project, which would be located between I-376 and a new get-go currently under construction on the site where Toys R Us was located. This is Sandy Giordano reporting for Beaver County Radio.
In a story we first told you about yesterday in Upper St. Clair, where a tree fell on a man's vehicle during Tuesday's storms while he and his wife were sitting at a red light. That man has since passed away from his injuries. The man who was driving the white SUV was Steven Sestanko Jr., and he died around midnight on Tuesday, just hours after the accident. The accident occurred at the intersection of McMurray Road and Bethel Church Road. Sestanko and his wife, who was a passenger in his vehicle, were waiting at the light in the left lane, and another vehicle with a family of 6 whose vehicle was also struck by the tree was right behind Sestanko's vehicle. The 64-year-old father of 2 was the only person injured in the accident. He was a long-term Pittsburgh Post-Gazette employee who was preparing to retire. Mother's Day is coming Sunday, and are you still looking for something to buy or something to do for Mom on Mother's Day? With just a few days left until the big day, Beaver County Radio spoke with Carly McKee of Cohill Fashions in Beaver Falls, and she provided some helpful tips for those who want to have the best time.
Mother's Day is quickly approaching, and it seems that every year we think, what can I get Mom this year? I am blessed to still have my mom. She's 98 now, so this has been a dilemma for many years. Here are some suggestions, many of them available right here in our town. What about the gift of time? If your mom is the artsy type, you and she may enjoy an evening of crafting, a pottery class, or learning to crochet. If she's the homebody type, you could spend the day in her kitchen cooking a family recipe or baking cookies from a childhood favorite, reminiscing and reliving the wonderful smell of freshly baked goodies. Take her to lunch or out for a relaxing dinner, just you and she. How often do you have time for a one-on-one with only Mom? And there are always the traditionals, flowers, candy, clothing. A day of shopping is always welcomed. Bring Mom into Cohill Fashions on College Hill and let her choose a gift. Spend time together selecting just the right outfit to add to her spring or summer wardrobe. It's much more fun when you do it together. Just you and your amazing mom.
Here's the Beaver County forecast on 95.7 and 99.3 FM, along with 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and streaming at beavercountyradio.com.
Partly sunny skies today with a high of 71 degrees. Showers likely towards morning overnight tonight with a low of 56. Tomorrow, showers with afternoon thunderstorms and a high of 64. For your Mother's Day weekend, showers and possibly a thunderstorm on Saturday with a high of 59. For Mother's Day, it's going to be a beautiful day, and it's going to be the start of a warm-up and some beautiful weather here in Beaver County with mostly sunny skies, high of 66 degrees. Then Monday, sunny, high of 72, and Tuesday, sunny with a high of 79 degrees. That is a look at the news for now. I'm Frank Sparks, Beaver County Radio News, 95.7 and 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, 1230 WBVP, 1460 WMBA, and beavercountyradio.com.
You're listening to Ask the Commissioners on WBVP, WMBA, 99.3 FM, and Facebook Live. The Commissioners are awaiting your questions by calling 724-843-1888 or 724-774-1888. Today's show is brought to you by Huntington Bank, the Laughlin Insurance Agency, and Beaver Valley Auto Mall. Click BeaverValleyCars.com. You can also post comments or questions in the Facebook Live video feed. And now, it's your chance to Ask the Commissioners, right here on Beaver County Radio.
It is Ask the Commissioners. I'm asking all sorts of questions to Jack Manning today. He's with me here in the studio. He's also on your Facebook page. If you go to the Beaver County Radio Facebook page, we're live streaming this. You can post your questions underneath in the comments section. I messed up. I'm stunner, ain't it? Yeah. I messed up. For just about as long as we've done this program together, I have opened with the same question, and I blew it today. So we got to back up. Where are we with the reassessment? It's like the monkeys opening, but not starting with we're the monkeys. Yeah. I blew it. I'm sorry. Reassessment and mailers are happening, I think.
Yes, we're still, I think, 25,000 just went out. Everybody is.
What's the postage on 25,000 mailers? You get a machine, you get a break. They stamp it out.
I don't know if there's a bulk mail thing on that.
Okay.
I'll have to ask Josh Eckelberger, our director assessment there. But it's all covered as part of the bond and the money that we set aside. Obviously, do that as well as other marketing and that.
Right.
I mean, it's an important part of where we are in this process, which is to now mail a front and back one-page document saying, here's what we have on record. Here's
this is you according to this.
A description of your parcel with the amenities that are there, and to verify that all that information one last time is correct. All of those are supposed to be out, I'd heard, by May 27th. We'll see if they're on track of that, which means that every resident in the county, all 91,000 parcels or whatever it is, will be mailed that.
These are homeowners. These are not
homeowners,
apartments.
Business owners, property owners, right?
These are not renters.
Property owners.
Okay.
Correct. So, and then that data is what will be used over the summer and into the fall to base the calculations on what the values are going to be.
To come up with the new number.
And then in the fall, we'll be issuing then people a document saying, here's the assessed value that we will have on the books for your particular home in your particular neighborhood.
Okay. If I'm a homeowner, I get the front and back thing and everything on it is correct. Mm-hmm. What do I do? Nothing?
Nothing.
But that's my opportunity to basically question.
If you see some egregious thing like, well, we tore that down, or
I don't have a swimming pool.
Yeah, exactly. If there's some mistake there. But I mean, we've been pretty thorough about this. Mm-hmm. That's what's taken 2 years, quite frankly, is to go through what we have on file, send the people out from Tyler Technologies, knocking on doors, the satellite images that we have of properties. I mean, I think we have a pretty good idea of what it is. There may be some interior things that are incorrect, assumptions that we may have made, or
where would the interior decisions or interior data have come from? Original blueprints or just
normally they would come from building permits that are filed with the municipality, and then the municipality forwards it. So if somebody adds a room, or somebody adds a bathroom, or somebody adds a glass porch, or somebody does that, usually those require a building permit. When those building permits are filed, then that information comes to us, and it gets put on the books of the doctor. Understanding that that's never 100% compliance on
that was my next question.
Building permits, and some people do their own stuff, don't have builders come in and do it, and the like. So it's hard to catch up with some of the interior work, but for the most part, that's kind of de minimis in the overall picture of what we're trying to do here.
I'm going to ask a grumbly question about building permits. Why are building permits needed if I'm not building a new structure? If I'm remodeling my bathroom, is a building permit needed for that?
Yes.
Why?
Well, it's a code in an ordinance that all municipalities have. A lot of it's for fire compliance, electrical compliance, those kinds of things.
Okay.
Just building construction code, maintenance code,
Okay.
compliance to make sure things are being done properly and right, and you're not, going to burn yourself down
Or let somebody like me try and wire it.
yeah. So
Okay.
I mean, it's not required in all cases, but there is a threshold that those things are supposed to be submitted to. And I'm not an expert on the 53.5 municipalities building
that's
code
right.
ordinances.
Every
But
municipality.
that's a local control issue. It's not a county control issue. We don't have direct purview or oversight over that. We depend on the municipalities to do that, and we depend on the municipalities to enforce their own codes that they have based on these ordinances.
How much redundancy is there in local government?
Well, I don't know. That's a tough question to answer.
Well, and let me apologize and rephrase it. Redundancy can be a good thing and can be a vital thing.
Yeah.
To have backups in case something bad happens to the original, but redundancy can also be. I just get confused when I hear about the county's in charge of this, and municipalities do this, and townships do this, and boroughs do this. It gets confusing.
The way the Commonwealth is set up, the county really does not have much control over anything other than county property. So it really is local control, local municipal control. They are the authorities for permitting, code, construction, permitted uses. All of that is local ordinance control. Things come into the Planning Commission to make sure that any state or federal guidelines or it's consistent with comprehensive plans, usually when they're applying for a grant or something. And we'll sign off that, yes, this complies with strategic growth initiatives or comprehensive plans that we have at the county. It's consistent with the codes and ordinances that are held locally.
Since, and I'm super generalizing this because I don't understand it like you do, since the county is holding the purse strings for all of these other things, could you see a benefit in the county having more power, whether that changes something changes through Harrisburg?
No.
Because you can have a whole bunch of squabbling kids. At some point, there needs to be a semi-grown-up in the room to deal with the squabbling kids.
Yeah, I don't know of anything specifically that would benefit from the county being in control and oversight without tremendously expanding government. I'm more for small government, local control. But there is some oversight, and there's a lot of money that flows through the county that goes to benefit residents directly through our departments and agencies that the municipal government actually, by doing that, it kind of eliminates the need for redundancy and the need to duplicate efforts by allowing that money to flow through the county and be dispersed to residents more directly. Things like behavioral health, children and youth services, those kinds of things, right? You don't want 53 children and youth services groups, right? And those kinds of things. Or EMS, emergency services, a 911 center. You can't have 53
there needs to be a
911
decider.
centers, right?
Yeah.
So there are those things where it's much more expedient, much more efficient, much more beneficial to the overall operations of a county to have us have that oversight. But most of our stuff is health and safety, and I like to add, and the economic well-being, which is the economic development, the growth, the ability to attract and retain residents, attract and retain businesses. That's kind of our job, the bigger picture for the county. Everything else is pretty much local. It's up to the townships, the boroughs, and our 2 third-class cities to figure out how they want to run, and with the standards that those residents in those communities want to have. And those standards of how they want their community to look is what those ordinances should be all about.
And they're the closest to it, so they
Yep.
best know what it should be. You mentioned EMS.
Mm-hmm.
Give me an update, and for the people that don't know, recap it too. We were getting new radios, and
Yes.
they were the best radios, but some people didn't want the best radios. They wanted different radios, and there was a squabble. Where
Yeah,
are we on the radios?
So I think we're past the squabbling days.
Okay.
And I understand how the squabble happened. There were only two qualified providers.
Right.
For
It was a
for
good
the type of
radio or a
radios.
better radio?
Yeah, and the one provider, it's not a bad radio
Right,
at all.
right.
It is an effective one, but there's one that's more durable and more widely used in Allegheny County and Butler and Washington County and the like, and we were consistent with that. And we had already invested at the county level in these Motorola radios at our 911 center and for emergency services and hazmat and all that kind of stuff. So we made the decision to do a bulk purchase of the Motorola radios. It's going to total, I think, around $7 million. I have the spreadsheets out in the car.
$7 million.
$7 million worth of radios. So look, 47 fire departments, 34 police departments, 3 ambulance services. That's a lot of people, a lot of radios.
And I want
And it
every one of
covers-
those people to have a radio.
Exactly. And we want all of them to be able to talk.
Yeah.
Any situation, any geographic region in the county, to be able to communicate effectively, mutual aid, mutual response activities, any event that happens. And this allows for better, smoother communication. The old systems were going to expire in 2023. So these
Now, when you
departments...
say expire, you mean they weren't going to be compatible anymore?
The system, analog to digital, and
Gotcha.
the wave that it was going to be broadcast,
Yeah.
all that stuff, which I'm not that well versed in. I just know that a change had to be, and they've been sweating this for years, and they've been buying what they could afford to buy
Right.
to try and get there.
To at least get past that threshold when this
Right.
stuff becomes
So they were
incompatible.
piecemeal trying to buy some new radios. So, I mean, even before I ran for office, but for the last 2 years, particularly, every time I engage with the fire department, the Fire Chiefs Association, individual fire departments are all talking about, what are you doing about radios? How are we going to get over the hump on getting all of these radios purchased? So Commissioner Camp did a good job mustering some resources. Tony and I, strongly supported it. We came with a process to say, hey, let's use some of these American Rescue Fund monies after we knew that it did qualify.
After the Fed said, yes, you can buy radios with
Right.
your allowance.
So again, it's part of health and safety bucket of money. We went through the process and did that. What just got mailed out, I believe, Monday, was for all the radios that were submitted to all of those departments that I mentioned.
Okay. You're talking about requisition.
You said this is how many radios you
Right.
need. This is going to be the cost, because we now had that cost from Motorola for the total number.
Right.
Here is your 20% share. So the county's paying 80%. So essentially, they're paying 20% of a very, very good radio to get their organizations, their municipalities, their fire departments, their police departments, all on the same page with the newest equipment and best equipment available. So those just went out. So now, by the end of the month, we're hoping that those municipalities will say, okay, we have to come up with $35,000 because that's the 20% share for the number and the volume, the bigger.
And that's a
the
huge
townships and
amount.
departments and stuff. It for some of the small
Right.
municipalities, that would be a lot. But most of it, I think the highest I saw was something in that area. But some of it's a few $1,000s
Right.
on up.
So a whole lot of fish fries and pancake breakfasts are in our future in Beaver County.
Yeah, but most municipalities also have gotten some money, and they'll be able
good,
to use that. Or a lot of departments have a little fund that they've been working on over years to do this. So I don't know how it's going to work out. All we know is we're going to order the radios. We know now we have the cost. Here's the municipality when they give us the 20%. And the radios come in whenever that may be, given supply chain.
That was my
and
next
some of the
question,
other
because
stuff.
radios
We're
use
hoping
chips.
we're hoping by the end of the summer we'll have those radios, and then we'll start doling them out, and those checks will come back to reimburse the county the 20%. So.
And that's absolutely vital. And we were talking earlier, infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
If I got an issue, I want anybody that's trying to help me to be able to talk to anybody else that's trying to help me.
Yeah.
And that's what was going to change.
And it's also why eventually we're going to have to continue to work on cell towers as an expansion of the broadband initiative, because we still have a lot of gaps where cell phone coverage has dropped when you're
when you go
151 heading through Hanover and Independence and getting in there. There's still some dead zones along 51.
When you go down from 5 Points down the hill, like you're headed towards 3, there's a couple stretches there, and it's gotten better because before it was no big deal. Now you notice it right away, which tells me that most of the time you don't notice it because it's not a problem.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I should have asked you that I didn't ask you today?
I don't know, Eddie. We always just cover a lot of
started with comedy
and stuff. No, one thing I am excited from an infrastructure standpoint, we're in discussions to run sewer and water lines from the ice arena on through the park that will provide fire suppression, real bathrooms, and those kinds of things in the lodge. And the Four Seasons, and then also looking to potentially build an education discovery center, another facility in the park. This will, I think, come a long way to providing some infrastructure there. We've had good receptivity from Beaver Falls Water Authority and Brady's Run Sewer to kind of expand the lines that kind of stop at the ice arena to go through the park, which I think will be another great addition to what we're trying to do in the total upgrade of the parks. And construction did just start on redoing the tennis courts, the basketball courts, and all activity. If you drive down past 51 right now, you'll see that they're starting to take the old surface off on that. So a lot of great improvements. The parks are a great amenity and feature that we have here in Beaver County.
Do you think people know that? Do you think, just talking about Brady's Run just for a second, do you think everyone in Beaver County recognizes the gem that is Brady's Run?
I think a lot of people recognize it's there.
Yeah.
I don't know that enough people utilize it.
Okay.
But we have to. That's why I think we have to invest in continuing to upgrade and maintain the ball fields, the tennis courts, the green space, the dog park. I mean, all of that. The people that use it recognize it, and we get more comments and comments of appreciation on that than just about anything else that we do.
And what could you do at Old Economy? I was just thinking, because you've got I don't know if there are tennis courts, but you've got a pool.
The pool is there. We're doing upgrading the paving and the parking areas and those kinds of things, just making the access and the parking and everything upgraded. And maintaining that. Brush Creek, we have some playground equipment. We'll be upgrading the playground equipment at Brady's Run as well on these places. So just to make sure that stuff is clean, well kept, up to date, and repaired.
I don't see how you do it, because you've got 8,000 irons in the fire all going at once. Is that why this job is still fun to you? Because
every day's exciting, and every day is a challenge to me. Sometimes I feel like I'm spinning plates on a stick.
Right. Yeah, like the guy on the old Ed Sullivan running back and forth frantically.
I didn't want to age myself too much there.
Well, I saw it in repeats.
Yeah. But fortunately, some of those plates are Tupperware, so if they do fall off, they don't necessarily break. But you have to keep paying attention to all these things. There's always a lot of moving parts. That's what makes this job so challenging. That's why I think I'm in the right place at the right time, being able to make a difference in Beaver County. So.
Jack, man, do you think when guys start with that, they start with Tupperware before they move to the fancy china? Cornet plasticware. Jack Manning has been my guest. It's Ask the Commissioners. It's always great to talk to Jack. I love doing it. Teleforum on Beaver County Radio.
For an entrepreneur, life and business go hand in hand. Getting the most out of both sometimes can be as simple as a new idea or an insightful conversation. Join attorney and author Rocco Kaza, along with realtor and podcaster Eric McKenna, for the Entrepreneur Life. Beaver County Radio's newest show. The Entrepreneur Life airs from 10:30 to 12:30 this and every Saturday morning. Listen on Beaver County Radio or watch the video stream on Facebook and YouTube. Don't just get busier, become happier, and ultimately wealthier. Tune in to the Entrepreneur Life Saturday starting at 10:30 on Beaver County Radio.
Some things just seem to go together well. You know, like salt and pepper, love and marriage, pencils and paper, and liver and onions. What? Liver and onions? Who wrote this? Hi, this is Andy Dangle from Freedom United Federal Credit Union, here to talk about two other things that go great together, cars and cash. If you're like me, you like both of those things, and right now, during Cars and Cash Month, Freedom United is making their unbelievable 1.99% new and late model auto loan available so you can get all the cash you need to get the car you've been dreaming of, based on credit approval and vehicle purchase. Cars and cash. That's a combination that you can't beat. Look for a picture of me holding all the cash you'll need, along with other details about Cars and Cash Month in the Freedom United Facebook feed. Member NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
Dr. Mehmet Oz confessed, quote, "I'm not socially conservative." Mehmet Oz is a liberal on guns. Listen to him in his own words.
How do we keep guns out of the wrong person's hands? Red flag laws.
Even worse, Oz supported New Zealand-style forced government gun buybacks, tracking gun owners with universal licensing, and an assault rifle ban. No wonder Mehmet Oz confessed, quote, "I'm not socially conservative." Mehmet Oz, a Hollywood liberal and total fraud. Dave McCormick, he's an Iraq combat veteran with a Bronze Star. He's a proud son of Pennsylvania and a sportsman. Dave McCormick is a conservative who you can trust to stand up to the woke liberal mob and protect your Second Amendment rights. Honor Pennsylvania, Inc. is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Paid for by Honor Pennsylvania, Inc. HonorPennsylvania.com.
You're listening to Beaver County Radio, 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge, broadcasting live from the St. Barnabas studios.
Highmark Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and Allegheny Health Network are pleased to present a new show on Beaver County Radio called Heroes. Tune in every Saturday at 10 and Sunday at 12:30 for Heroes, a wonderful half-hour segment hosted by Jim Roddy that profiles many of the local heroes in this community. Click highmark.com for more information and then tune in for Heroes this Saturday at 10 and again Sunday at 12:30 on WBVP, WMBA, and 99.3 FM.